ERP also, we have two kinds of ERPs. Okay. Now, one is called the on premise ERP. Okay. And the other one is called the cloud based ERP. Now, what is the difference between on premise ERP and cloud based ERP? Okay. It's pretty simple one. Whatever the name says, okay, on premise ERP is nothing but, okay, you need to install the application into your server. Okay, a very common example which we have is SAP or PeopleSoft. Okay, now in order to use the SAP or PeopleSoft, companies have to install the application into the server. Okay, so that means what they need to have. Okay, say for example, you are purchasing a mobile phone. Okay, now in order to use your mobile phone, what you have to do, okay, or maybe yeah, in order to use your mobile phone, basically you have to, okay, you have to take a backup of your previous phone data, right? So you need to probably take a backup. Okay, and what else, you need to configure your, like, your setup, like you need to configure your email ID, you need to configure your personal details into the phone, then only you will be able to use it, right? So you need to configure the systems, okay, in your mobile phone, then only you will be able to use it. Okay, so similarly, when the companies are using a on premise ERP, okay, so that means they need to make certain cost. Okay, so that means they need to buy the license. Okay, license from whom? License from the ERP vendor from which they are using it. Okay, so this is a cost for the company. Then what else, they need to install the server, or they need to, I will say, the install the application, okay, into the respective server. So isn't it a cost to the company, guys? Isn't installing the application in the server, isn't it a cost to the company? Can anybody tell me how it will be a cost to the company?
Because we have to maintain the separate team
Exactly.
for
Okay.
server.
Yes. Okay. Did you understand? So whenever you are installing any application into your server, you need to incur a cost of maintenance. Okay. A very common example that everyone is using on a day-to-day basis is your Microsoft Office. Okay, say after every frequent time, you must be seeing an update that Microsoft, you get a update on your laptop that Microsoft is installing, and it'll take some time, please don't power off your laptop. Now what does that mean? So that means in the back end, Microsoft is upgrading all the features into the latest version. Okay, now in the on premise ERPs, okay, this installation has to be done manually, okay, by the team itself. So who are the team that will be doing? These are basically called the data admin guys. Okay, so in order to maintain the servers, okay, so they need to have a, first of all, maintenance cost, then they need to have a dedicated team to look into that, to look into the maintenance part. Okay, so that is also a cost to the company. Okay, now what else? Okay, so as I said, the installation cost is there. Okay, buying the license, purchasing the license is there. Maintaining a dedicated team who is responsible for your, all the installations, upgradation, everything has to be done manually. Okay, so this is why we, companies used to have the on premise ERPs. Okay, now then comes the cloud based ERP. Now, what is the difference between cloud based and ERP? Okay. Now, in order to access the cloud based ERP, which we have just called as the Workday is one of the most common example, what the companies need to have, what the companies need to have in order to access any of the SaaS application, they just need to have a internet connectivity, okay, and a laptop or a desktop wherever they want to use. Okay, that's it. Okay, they don't need to purchase, I mean, basically license will be there, guys, buying the license will be there. Okay, License price is again there, but again this license cost is reduced lesser than the on-premise ERP license cost. Okay, so the cloud-based ERP license cost is a subscription based license, which, okay, that I will not go dig dive into it. Okay, but just you have to understand that the cost is little less compared to the ERP. Okay, apart from that, they don't need to have all these things like installing the application into the server or managing a dedicated team, okay, to look after it. Okay, so they don't need to have any of these things. Okay, now isn't the cost reduced in terms of cloud based ERPs? Yes or no? Isn't the companies saving the cost?
Yes, yes.
Right, because
Yes.
of why? Because they don't need to have this maintenance cost. Okay, installation and maintenance, trust me guys, it costs a lot to the companies. Okay, maintenance, every, they need to do it, every on a frequent basis, and for that they need to pay a huge amount of money, okay, to the maintenance team or to the vendor from whom they are using it. Okay, but whereas in cloud based ERP, like for example in Workday, what happens is the maintenance happens itself. Okay, so every year there is a biannual release. Okay, which is called the R1 and R2. Now, I will discuss more about it when I will be taking into the class. As of now, just try to understand there are two releases which happens, okay, in a year. These are called the biannual releases. Okay, now in these releases what happens is any kind of bug fixing or any kind of new features, any kind of, the software upgradation that happens, it happens by default. You don't have to do anything. It's just that Workday itself takes care of all the new enhancement, feature enhancement, okay, by itself. Okay, so that is the best thing about Workday. Okay, so we don't need to incur a particular maintenance cost. Okay, apart from that, yeah, so these are basically the two releases which happens, okay, on the month of March. The R1 happens tentatively, and on the month of September, okay, the R2 release happens. Okay, now as I said, I will discuss more about the release process probably when I will be taking you through the main course. Okay, so there are few other examples of cloud-based ERPs. Can anybody tell me what are the common competitors of Workday in the market?
SAP, Oracle.
SAP,
Darwin Box, Bamboo
SAP is
Sector.
not a SAP by itself is not a cloud-based ERP, but under SAP, yes, there is a certain tool which is used. Can anybody tell me what is the name of that tool?
Yeah, success factor.
Success Factor.
Exactly. Okay.
Oracle.
SAP Success Factor, Oracle Fusion. Okay. Yes, these are the most commonly used cloud-based ERPs which are there into the market right now.